GOP Democrats both see incentives in a shutdown that looks inevitable. Congressional lawmakers and their aides are bracing for a shutdown that appears inevitable after President Trump canceled a meeting planned for Thursday with Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, New York, and House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, New York. Senate Democrats have said they cannot vote for any House-passed government funding bill if GOP leaders refuse to sit down and talk with them, but Republicans say there's nothing to negotiate, framing next week's vote on a clean, continuing resolution to keep the government open as a take-it-or-leave-it proposition. I think there's a 99% chance that there's a shutdown. There just doesn't seem to be any endgame for either party to get out of a shutdown, said Brian Darling, a GOP strategist and former Senate aide. Republicans want to show that they want to get their priorities funded, and I think the Democrats need to dig in and show that they can fight. I think both parties have an incentive from their base to shut their government down, it's just a matter of how long, he said. Trump has made it clear he's not ready to offer any concessions to Schumer and Jeffries. He's also prepared to make the shutdown as painful as possible for Democrats by prioritizing funding for Republican requests and shifting money from Democratic-leaning states to GOP strongholds. The White House on Wednesday stepped up its pressure on Democrats to back down and accept a House-passed stopgap funding measure by circulating a memo warning of mass layoffs. The memo directs agencies to use a shutdown as an opportunity to consider reduction in force, RIF, notices to all employees in programs, projects or activities, if the funding for those programs lapses October 1st and they are not consistent with the president's priorities. Donald Trump has been firing federal workers since day one, not to govern but to scare, he wrote. Jonathan Cott, a Democratic strategist and former Senate aide, said Trump is provoking Democrats to block any Republican-drafted government funding bill by refusing to consider their requests to address rising health care costs, the issue Schumer has put at the center of the funding showdown. If he won't even sit down and meet to have a discussion, he is telling Congress, he is telling the American people he would rather shut down the government, Cott said of Trump. Cott said Democrats can't back down now, warning that if they agreed to a clean short-term funding stopgap after demanding concessions on health care, they would undermine any leverage they might have in November or December to negotiate a longer-term funding deal. If the President of the United States won't even meet with you in October, why would you think he would meet with you in November? He said. The fact that he won't even take the meeting tells you everything you need to know. Some centrist Democratic senators, however, privately wonder how much leverage Schumer and Jeffries have in the standoff. Republicans have proposed a clean 7-week stopgap funding bill, the same type of straightforward resolution Democrats passed 13 times when they controlled the Senate during former President Biden's time as president. How many of their darlings are we holding? Where's our leverage? Identify what's our leverage point, said Senator John Fetterman, Democrat Pennsylvania, who is questioning Schumer's hardline strategy heading into the September 30th deadline for keeping the government open. Fetterman warned that a shutdown could give Trump the same unfettered power to redirect funding, slash agency budgets and furlough workers that Schumer and other Democrats raised the alarm about when they voted for a partisan GOP funding bill in March. Fetterman thinks that's why Republicans jammed the Senate with such a partisan funding bill in March. He believes they were trying to lure Democrats into the trap of a shutdown to give Trump more power. I thought it was a honey trap back then, they were begging us to effectively do it, he said. The Pennsylvania Democrat warned that a shutdown now would give Trump's allies the same opportunity to tear the government apart. Now this creates more opportunities to do all of those things that's compatible with the Project 2025 plan. I think that's exactly what they want, he said, referring to the conservative blueprint to overhaul the federal government. John Ulyott, a Republican strategist and senior advisor to Trump's 2016 campaign, said Republicans feel confident they'll have the upper hand politically if federal departments and agencies shut down indefinitely. I'd say it's all up to Schumer. President Trump holds all the cards right now, and it looks bad for Democrats if they shut down the government. I think Schumer will blink at the last moment because he knows the Democrats are really in a tailspin as a party right now, and if they were to take this step right now, this would put them even further down in the political landscape for the next election cycle, he said. Schumer really has to look at this, and he doesn't have a lot of cards to play. If he wants to shut down the government, then that's something they're going to have to answer for, and it isn't pretty for the party, he said. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, Republican South Dakota, said Wednesday the Democrats' funding demands are so outrageous that it's not even worth Trump's time to meet with them, backing the president's decision to cancel Thursday's leadership summit on the funding impasse. The Democrats' requests are completely unhinged and unreasonable and unserious, and if they want to have a serious conversation, I'm sure the president, Would be happy to do that, Thune said Wednesday during a CNN interview. But at least right now what they're asking for to keep the government open for 7 weeks is over $1 trillion in new spending and all kinds of policy riders that never go on continuing resolutions, he said. Senate Democrats last week unveiled an alternative continuing resolution to fund the government until October 31 that would permanently extend the enhanced health care premium subsidies that are due to expire at the end of this year, something that would cost $350 billion over 10 years, and restore nearly $1 trillion in Medicaid funding cut by the Republicans' One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Democrats have added language to unfreeze funding targeted by Office of Management and Budget Director Russell Vought, including the $5 billion in foreign aid he wants to claw back through a pocket rescission. Democrats have already voted down the 7-week continuing resolution passed last week by House Republicans, even though it kept current funding levels in place and didn't include any poison pill policy riders. Senator Patty Murray, Democrat Washington, the vice chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, who has played a central role in crafting the Democratic funding strategy, argued Wednesday that Trump, not Democratic leaders, are being unhinged and unreasonable. Here's the truth. Republicans are forcing a shutdown because they won't so much as sit down with Democrats to find a solution to fund the government and protect your health care, she wrote on the social media platform X. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe.